Hi, friend. Thanks for joining me today. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt invisible? Like you were going through something so deep, so painful, and no one really saw you? If you've ever felt that way, I want you to know you're not alone. Today, I want to share with you the powerful story of a woman in the Bible named Hagar, a woman who felt unwanted, mistreated, and forgotten. But in her darkest hour, she had a life-changing encounter with God, and she called him something beautiful, El Roi, which means the God who sees me. Her story is found in the book of Genesis, and even though it happened thousands of years ago, it still speaks to us today. So let's journey back together and hear the story of the God who sees. Our story begins a long, long time ago, in the early chapters of the Bible. There's a man named Abram. You might know him better as Abraham. He was chosen by God to be the father of a great nation. God made him a promise that one day he'd have so many descendants, they'd be as countless as the stars in the sky. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you. Genesis 12:2-3. But there was one problem. Abram and his wife Sarai had no children, and they were getting older, like really old. Sarai was well past the age of having kids, and they had been waiting a long time for that promise to come true. Years passed, and still no baby. Sarai began to doubt that God's promise would come true through her, so she decided to take matters into her own hands. Genesis 16:1-2 tells us, Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. So she said to Abram, The Lord has kept me from having children. Go, sleep with my slave. Perhaps I can build a family through her. Now, let's pause for a second. This decision may sound strange to us today, but in their time and culture, it was common for a barren woman to give her servant to her husband in order to have children. Still, it was not God's plan, and it wasn't fair to Hagar, who had no voice or choice in this. Hagar was an Egyptian slave, likely acquired when Abram and Sarai went down to Egypt during a famine. Genesis 12:10-20. She was young, foreign, and powerless. She becomes pregnant with Abram's child, and everything changes. Genesis 16:4-6 says, When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. Then Sarai said to Abram, You are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. Abram said, Do with her whatever you think best. Then Sarai mistreated Hagar, so she fled from her. Hagar probably hoped that being pregnant with Abram's child would give her a better place in the household, but instead, it sparked jealousy and bitterness. Sarai becomes harsh. Maybe Hagar got arrogant. Emotions ran high, and in the middle of this tension, Hagar runs away. She runs into the wilderness, alone, pregnant, scared, with no clear future. But now comes the most beautiful moment. Genesis 16:7 says, The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. Now here's something special. The term the angel of the Lord in the Old Testament often refers to God himself appearing in human form. So this wasn't just an angel. This was God meeting Hagar personally. And notice, he didn't wait for her to come to him. He went looking for her. Then he says something tender, something personal. Genesis 16:8. Hagar, servant of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going? He calls her by name. Hagar. He knows her, and he doesn't scold her. He simply asks her to reflect. She answers honestly, I'm running away from my mistress. Then God gives her a hard truth, but also an incredible promise. Genesis 16:9-10 Then the angel of the Lord told her, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her." The angel added, "I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count." Did you catch that? God gives the same type of promise to Hagar that he gave to Abram. He sees her pain, yes, but he also sees her potential. He sees her child. He sees her future. Then he says something beautiful in Genesis 16:11. "You are now pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery." Ishmael means God hears. So not only is Hagar seen, she's heard. Now listen to what Hagar says next. It's the only time in the Bible where a woman gives God a name. Genesis 16:13. She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her, "You are the God who sees me." For she said, "I have now seen the one who sees me." In Hebrew, that name is El Roi. Can you imagine how powerful that moment was? A woman, alone in the desert, pregnant and forgotten, yet she encounters the living God, not in a temple, not in a palace, but by a spring in the wilderness, and she realizes, God sees me, God hears me, I am not invisible. So Hagar returns, just as God told her. She gives birth to her son, and Abram names him Ishmael, which means God hears, just as the angel had said, Genesis 16:15-16. For a while, life goes on. Ishmael grows up in Abram's household. But remember, God had promised Abram that he would have descendants through his wife, Sarai. And guess what? Though it seemed impossible, when Abram was 100 years old and Sarai was 90, God kept his promise. Sarai gives birth to a son named Isaac. Genesis 21:1-3. Isaac was the child of the covenant, the one through whom God would fulfill his promise to Abraham. But this is where things get tense again. Genesis 21:8-10 tells us, the child, Isaac, grew and was weaned. And on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham was mocking. And she said to Abraham, "Get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son, Isaac." Ouch. The rejection is deep. Hagar and Ishmael are once again cast out, but this time for good. Imagine Hagar now, a single mother, walking into the wilderness with her teenage son, carrying only a little food and water. Eventually, the supplies run out. In Genesis 21:15-16, it says, "When the water in the skin was gone, she put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went off and sat down about a bow shot away, for she thought, I cannot watch the boy die." And as she sat there, she began to sob. Can you feel her heart break? This is one of the lowest points in Hagar's life. She's not just lost and abandoned. She's watching her son die of thirst. And yet again, she feels invisible, forgotten, hopeless. But here comes El Roi, the God who sees, again. Genesis 21:17-18 says, God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, "What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift the boy up and take him by the hand, for I will make him into a great nation." Then something miraculous happens. Genesis 21:19. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. Can you see the beauty here? Even in the wilderness, even when all hope seemed lost, God provided, not just spiritually, but physically. He gave her water. He gave her strength. He gave her a future. Genesis 21:20 tells us, God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer. Hagar and Ishmael weren't just cast aside. They were cared for. God watched over them. Ishmael grew up and became a great nation, just as God promised. Genesis 17:20. So yes, Hagar's story began in pain and rejection, but it ended in survival, in strength, and in God's continued presence. Friend, what does this all mean for us? It means that when people let you down, God still sees you. When you're wandering in your own wilderness, feeling forgotten or broken, God still hears you. And when you've come to the end of your rope, thinking there's no way forward, God will make a way, just like He did for Hagar. Psalm 139:7-10 says, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me, your right hand will hold me fast." Even in the desert, even when the world pushes you aside, El Roi is watching over you. God saw Hagar. He heard Ishmael, and He provided water in a dry land. He still does the same today. So if you're going through a hard time, remember this name: El Roi, the God who sees me. Let it be your anchor. Let it remind you that you're not walking through this life alone. And hey, if this story touched your heart, share it with someone who might need it. Maybe there's a Hagar in your life, someone who needs to know they are seen. If you'd like more encouraging stories like this from the Bible, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, or leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what this name, El Roi, means to you. Until next time, stay hopeful, stay encouraged, and remember, you are seen. God bless.